Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So Hare Krishna, dear devotees, it's a wonderful day today. It's the appearance day of Lalita Devi, Lalita Sasti, and she's a very important personality in Krishna Leela. And we wanted to try to understand a little bit about her. Before we do that, we're going to go through a little bit of the, not so much of the basics, but some important things we need to understand before we delve into the topics of Krishna and his gopis, because these are very confidential pastimes, confidential matters. So we need to understand them in the right mood. And this slok here, Chaitanya, from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 24:30, is a really very interesting slok. It sort of gives us a introduction to what I wanted to present before we go into the wonderful appearance of Lalita Devi. So we can recite this together. Jai Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar,
Shri Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Thank you. Bhakti Shabdera Arthadhaya Dasa Vidakara Eka Sadna Prema Bhakti Nava Prakara.
There are 10 meanings to the word Bhakti, devotional service. One is execution of devotional service according to the regulated principles, and the other, called Prema Bhakti, ecstatic love, has 9 varieties. Purport: the 9 varieties are Rati, Prema, Sneha, Mana, Pranaya, Raga, Anuraga, Bhav, and Mahabhav. These attraction, love, affection, adverse feelings, intimacy, attachment, sub-attachment, ecstatic love, and sublime ecstatic love. For the execution of devotional service, according to the regulated principles, there is only one meaning.
So this is quite an interesting verse. It talks about the execution of devotional service according to the regulatory principles. That's sadhana bhakti. That's generally what we are trying to perform, with a little bit of Raganuga bhakti. But then when we come to Prema Bhakti, Krishna Prem, there are 9 varieties within that. So this is an area which is not commonly discussed, and it's the area we want to have a look at. Now, Jayanti did have a health warning for this particular session, because it is quite involved. But it's
quite intense.
It's very intense. So need to be a little bit alert. If anybody's had a heavy lunch, maybe you want to just go and put some water on your face. And if anybody starts snoozing, we will hear you. I know everybody's on mute, but we can always hear when somebody's snoozing, having a snore. But actually, this is one of the most fascinating areas of Krishna consciousness. So I seek the blessings and I seek the good wishes of the devotees that we can present this in a way which is understandable and appropriate, and hopefully it'll give us all a sense of what there is waiting for us in the spiritual world. It's absolutely the most extraordinary area. So anyway, we'll make a start from the basic principles. Bhakti Yoga, it means love of God, or as Srila Prabhupada often translates the word, pure devotional service to God. And the Sanskrit root of the word bhakti is bhaj. Bhaj is loving service, eternal loving service. Bhakti is the essence of eternal relationship we souls have with Krishna. And in the material existence, our bhakti is covered by our material consciousness and misdirected away from Krishna. And this is what the Bhagavad Gita is aiming at, to bring us in line again with Krishna consciousness and Bhakti Yoga. That's why Krishna emphasizes so many times in the Bhagavad Gita about Bhakti Yoga. But we are enamored by the temporary things of this world. So because of that connection with this world, we're never going to get satisfied in this world, because we are always looking for satisfaction in temporary things, but we're eternal beings. But we've lost the connection with the spiritual world. So we are in neither sphere. We're never going to be happy in this way. We can awaken our natural bhakti by practicing bhakti, devotional service. In other words, we can reawaken our love for Krishna by performing loving devotion. And since yoga means connection, the process by which we connect with Krishna is through love, Bhakti Yoga. There's much, of course, much more to loving God than just saying it. You know, if you love somebody, you're not just going to say, I love you, I love you, I love you. It gets a bit boring after a while. You're going to do something to show that you love that person. We can attain pure love for Krishna through a gradual process that takes us through progressively higher realms of bhakti. Shravanam, Kirtan, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, etc. The 9 processes. But it involves service, seva. It's not just lip service, but it's actual physical, practical service. Fortunately, we can begin the process at any point in our life, whether we're young. Prahlad Maharaj was 5, and in fact, he was even younger. He was practicing Bhakti Yoga in the womb of his mother. And on the other scale, we have Ajamil, who started practicing Bhakti Yoga at the age of 88, I believe, when he was on his deathbed, and he attained liberation. Of course, we don't wait that long, because there's no guarantee that at that time we'll be focused on God. And he was very, very fortunate. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says in the Sri Tattva Sutra that there are different kinds of bhakti. So this is where it gets very interesting. There's Prema Bhakti. Prema Bhakti are those who are eternally liberated souls. It's performed by the Vedaha Muktas who have cast off their bodies, gone back home, back to Godhead. The Bhava Bhakti, they are those who do devotional service in great ecstasy, and they're performed by the Jivan Muktas, those who are liberated, but who still have material bodies. They're living in this world, but they've attained Krishna conscious. So even though they've got material bodies, in fact, they're liberated souls. Jivan Mukta. Then there's the Rag Atmika Bhakti. That is those who are already in Braj, in Vrindavan. They're actually the liberated souls. They're eternally liberated. They never fall from their position. And they are spontaneously attracted to Krishna. And they perform bhakti to Krishna, which pleases the Lord very much. And it comes not through the practice of regulative principles, but through their emotions and their love for Krishna. It's spontaneous, which means there's no regulation to it necessarily, except to please Krishna. That's the principle that drives their bhakti. And then there's sadhana bhakti, which is what we're trying to do. That was in the verse. We are trying to follow Krishna consciousness through observing the regulative principles. We're chanting, we are following the rules and regulations, we're reading the books, like that. So we're trying to reawaken our eternal devotion to Krishna. And sadhana bhakti is divided into 2. Vaidhi bhakti, and that's where we really follow the rules and regulations according to scripture and guru. And that's also known as the Pancharatrika mark. These terms may be a little bit alien, so don't worry, don't have to remember these terms. Just understand 2 types of bhakti. One is you follow the rules and regulations. Second is spontaneous, Raganuga. And Raganuga is effectively the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra falls into that category of spontaneous offering Krishna bhakti through spontaneous love. And we need both. We need Vaidhi bhakti, we need to follow the rules and regulations. We also need this Bhagavad marg. It's known as the Bhagavad marg, Raganuga. And this is where devotion is carried out of natural love. So what does Prabhupada say? There are two processes of practical devotional service. One is regulative devotional service, and the other is spontaneous devotional service. Sadhana Bhakti combines both Vaidhi Bhakti and Raganuga Bhakti together. They cure our spiritually diseased condition. They include specific rules and regulations prescribed by the Vaishnava Guru and Bhakti Shastri, that's the devotional literature, to bring us to our original spiritually healthy condition of Satchit Ananda Vigraha. Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes sadhana bhakti as having an inner and outer aspect. Raganuga is the soft, sweet inner fruit of sadhana bhakti. That's the really core bit that is so important. And Vaidhi Bhakti is the outer protective skin of sadhana bhakti. You need both. You need the outer skin to protect the soft inner skin. However, we can't exist just on Raganuga Bhakti because we are still attached to the material senses and trying to enjoy those senses. We've got our mundane tastes and attraction for sense enjoyment, sense gratification. So that's why we need both these paths simultaneously. We need to follow the rules and regulations, and we need to chant the Maha Mantra in as loving way as possible to the Supreme Lord. So that's essentially sadhana bhakti. Now, our aim is to become more and more closer towards the Raganuga Bhakti, spontaneous love for Krishna, as well as following the rules and regulations. But the predominant aspect needs to go towards Raganuga Bhakti so that we can achieve, again, our position back in the spiritual world. Of course, the blessings and guidance of the spiritual master is key to advance in this path. Now, very key is persons desiring to follow in the footsteps of eternal devotees of the Lord, such as the Vijvasis. They're called Raganuga devotees. So you can't just get Raganuga without following those who already got it. And the devotees in Vrindavan, the Brijavasis, they're already at that level. So what we want to do, with the guidance of the spiritual master, with the blessings of the spiritual master, is to be able to follow in the footsteps of these Raganuga devotees. Otherwise, how are we going to get this Raganuga? And the whole aim of Krishna consciousness, especially in this sampradaya given to us by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is this Raganuga Bhakti. This is his special gift. So what are these devotees doing? They're trying to attain to the perfection of those devotees. We're trying to follow in their footsteps. By their spontaneous nature, they become attracted to some of the eternal devotees, such as Nanda and Yashoda. We'll talk about that in a little while. Try to follow in their footsteps. It's a gradual development of the ambition to serve the Lord like a particular devotee. We're not trying to imitate anybody, just following in their footsteps. It must be remembered, however, that such eagerness to follow in the footsteps of the residents of Braj is not possible unless one is freed from material contamination, having at least attained the stage called Anatha Nivritti. And if devotees recall, this is the Bhakti Lava Bij, this plant of devotion. The seed has been sown, we've been watering it with chanting the holy names and associating with the devotees, reading the scriptures. We've been doing bhajana kriya, reading, trying to solidify our bhakti by engaging in practical service. And then we come to the stage of Anartha with Nivritti, where we get rid of all the bad things in our heart. Now, that is done in conjunction with devotion, we have to make an effort, but Krishna also assists us through the devotion to get rid of our bad habits. So the point is, if we still got lust in our heart, anger in our heart, greed, etc., etc., it's very difficult to go to the stage of Raganuga Bhakti. So we have to conquer, we have to come to at least this platform. Now, you will say to yourself, hey, I'm nowhere near it. And I definitely am nowhere near it. I know that, personally speaking. However, even we may not be anywhere near it, at least we need to have some theoretical understanding. This is where I need to be in order to get established in some sort of Raganuga Bhakti. Even if I don't know, if I'm in complete ignorance, not even knowing that I need to overcome another nivritti, then what's the point of doing all this bhakti? What's the point? You might as well at least know the theory. And we can aspire, with the Lord's mercy, our effort to get there. And I'm pretty sure we will get there. And what we're talking about shortly is when eventually prema arises within our hearts, this is the fruit. So from another nivritti, we got nishtha, steadiness, ruchi, taste for the holy name, can't live without chanting, ashakta, great attachment to the Lord. From attachment develops bhav. Bhav is where you are emotionally completely linked with the Supreme Lord. And then prema, the fruit that we are all aiming for, manifests itself. And this prema is divided into 9 categories. So that's what we can look at shortly. The natural complete absorption in one's own choice of deity is called raga. And devotion with an abundance of such raga is called Raganuga Bhakti. This is the definition of Raganuga Bhakti. The love is so deep that the heart of the loving devotee cannot seek even the slightest personal happiness anymore, other than the happiness of Krishna. Then all activities becomes centered around Krishna's happiness. You can see it's a very high level Raganuga Bhakti. When the heart of the devotee are crystal clear, free from the contamination of lust and anger, and they hear about the loving activities of the eternally perfect Vrijvasis from the mouths of Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, their hearts will light up just as crystal lights up when moonlight shines on it, and taste will awaken for those devotees' loving activities. Driven by these tastes, they engage in a kind of devotion that follows in its wake, which is called Raganuga. Without allegiance to the Vrijvasis, this Raganuga bhajan can never reach perfection, not if we want to attain Golok, Vrindavan. And that is our aim. That is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has gifted us. So, let's have a look at this Vraja Mood. The Vedic scriptures ascertain that Vrajendra Nandan Shri Krishna is the original supreme personality of Godhead. He's fully in his opulences and might, the supreme truth, the cause of all causes. This embodiment of spirit, Satchidananda Vigraha, the Almighty Shri Krishna, has innumerable potencies, of which 3 are predominant. We know these. There's the internal potency, the marginal potency, and then you have got the external illusionary potency. The marginal potency is us, the living entities. The external potency is the material world. But this internal potency, that's what we want to focus in on. That's the whole subject of today's subject. Of these, the internal potency is the greatest, for it is Krishna's intrinsic energy, the ability to perform something called Shakti or power, and according to its activities, this intrinsic energy shows 3 aspects. Again, devotees will be a little bit familiar with this. Hladini means pleasure, potency. And Radharani is the presiding deity of Hladini. We'll talk about that in a little while. Sandini is the existence potency, and Balaram is in charge of that. Sat-Chit Ananda, Sat-Chit. So this is Sat Sandini. Chit is knowing. Sambit, knowing potency. Krishna himself is in charge. Sat-Chit Ananda. Ananda is Hladini, and Radharani is in charge of it. So let's talk about Hladini a little bit more. Of these, Hladini potency is the greatest. For although Sri Krishna is the embodiment of full and paramount ecstasy, he relishes his intrinsic bliss through the Hladini energy and makes his devotee relish the same. So he doesn't enjoy in the Sat or Chit. It's the Ananda, the Hladini, is where he gets his ras. The special feature of this is the Hladini energy dwells within Krishna's form in a formless, energetic way to make him relish his intrinsic ecstasy, and also dwells outside him as Srimati Radharani, the embodiment of full and deep erotic flavors, relishing the sweetness of wonderful erotic mellows. This is Vrishabhanu Nandini Sri Radha. So Radha is the personification of this Hladini energy of Krishna. Okay, now that verse that we first read talks about the 9 types of prema bhakti. Here they are. This is once one achieves Krishna prema, there's 9 types of prema bhakti, Krishna prema. One is rati, where there's intense desire, attraction for the Lord. Prema, great ecstatic love. Sneha, such affection, and it softens and melts the heart. Mana, this is where where the devotee manifests adverse feelings due to the closeness. Mana is anger. So this is one of the 9 special parts of prema bhakti. Then pranaya, which is mutually intimate love, devoid of shyness or hesitation. Raga, great attachment, and disregards any offenses. So be very close, very familiar with the Lord. Anuraga, this is the constant presence of supplementary attachments that ripple and twinkle in waves of mutual charms. We'll probably come to that when we look at Lalita. And bhava, bhava is where there is such an intense love between Krishna and the devotee. And then there's mahabhav. And the only person who can possess mahabhav is Srimati Radharani. And that mahabhav completely controls Sri Krishna. It's such a powerful, ecstatic mood of the devotee. So we can, just to give us an idea, these 5 different types of relation we can have with the Lord, which is neutrality, friendship, service, parenthood, and love. They can be categorized in these 9 forms of bhakti. So Santaras, that the maximum it can come up to is going to be prema, which was number 2. Let's just have a quick look. Prema number 2. So rati and prema will be those who are in Shantaras. They will have those forms of bhakti. Dasyaras, where you have servitor relationship, it'll come up to the platform of raga. Sakyaras, friendship, will come up to stage of anuraga, which is here. Very close relationship with the Lord. Very close. Vatsalya will increase up to anuraga as well. Again, it's very close. Right? But madhurya goes right the way up to mahabhav. But as I said, only Radharani will have that. Only Srimati Radharani embodies the limits of mahabhav. Therefore, she is referred to as Mahabhav Swarup, the personification of mahabhav. So, what does Prabhupada say about this? You want to read this?
The unadulterated action of the Hladini Sakti is displayed in the dealings of the damsels of Vraj and Srimati Radharani, who is the topmost participant in that transcendental group. The essence of the Hladini Shakti is love of Godhead. The essence of love of Godhead is Bhav, or transcendental sentiment, and the highest pitch of that Bhav is called Mahabhav. Srimati Radharani is the personified embodiment of these three aspects of transcendental consciousness. She is therefore the highest principle in love of Godhead and is the supreme lovable object of Sri Krishna. This is from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila 469. Discussions of confidential reasons for the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Thank you. So, devotees in these five primary rasas are further defined by Prabhupada as follows.
Raganuga Bhakti, or spontaneous devotional service, can be executed in Santaras when one aspires to be like Krishna's cows or the stick or flute in the hand of Krishna or the flowers around Krishna's neck. In Dasyaras, one follows in the footsteps of servants like Chitraka, Patraka, or Raktaka. In the friendly Sakhya Ras, one can become a friend like Baldev, Sridama, or Sudama. In Vatsalya Ras, characterized by parental affection, one can become like Nand Maharaj or Yashoda. And in Madhurya Ras, characterized by conjugal love, one can become like Srimati Radharani or her lady friends such as Lalita and her serving maids, Manjaris, like Rupa and Rati. This is the essence of all instruction in the matter of devotional service. So, Nectar of Instruction, verse 8.
So, we might say to ourselves, well, where are we? We're nowhere near this level, right? Personally speaking. But we want to get to that level. So that this is perhaps our inspiration, how we can intensify our bhakti and make our devotion stronger so that we can aspire one of these five primary rasas. We don't know where we are at this moment in time because our connection with material world is too strong and our connection with Krishna is not strong enough. So how do we get that strength? We chant our rounds very nicely. We take shelter of the spiritual master. We listen to his instructions. We follow his instructions. Gradually, as we do that, the heart becomes purer, and the offenses in the heart, the anathas, lust, anger, greed, they all leave us. Then we come to a potential stage where we can have a little bit better idea of what our tendencies are towards the Supreme Lord. And if they fall within one of these five primary rasas, we can go a little bit further and try to understand who do I aspire to serve the most. If it's the Gomatas, Beshantaras, if it's Dasyaras, one of the Sakha friends of Krishna, if it's one of the servants of Krishna, rather, if it's friendliness, then one of the Sakhas of Krishna, Vatsalya, have we got parental attitude towards Krishna? Then we're looking at following Nand Maharaj, Yashoda, and it goes all the way up to Madhurya and Leela. Regarding Gopi Prem, only from their hearts does such love appear. This level of emotion is not to be prematurely or artificially displayed. This is the point. As in the case of the Prakata Sahajiyas, the unscrupulous imitators of Prema Ras. This is unfortunately a huge group, especially in the area of Bengal and perhaps even Vrindavan. Artificially, they show that they're lovers like the gopis of Krishna. But we can't do that artificially because in our hearts, there's too much rubbish. We have to clear the way so that Prema Bhakti can manifest. Krishna Prem can manifest in our heart. Then we can go further. Whoever performs Bhakti in the mood of the people of Braj will attain Brajendanandan in Braj. If it is not done in allegiance to the Gopis or with feelings of love, awe and reverence, Brajanandan will not be attained. The example is Lakshmi. She worships Krishna, but still she does not attain Brajanandan in Braj. So if she can't attain it, what chance have we got? But this is where we are very, very fortunate, and we'll see why in a minute. Vraja's eternal, perfect associates of Krishna come in 4 modes of friendship, servant, friendship, parental, and conjugal love. Those who yearn for the mood of servitude will follow the eternally perfect servants. Raktaka, Prataka. Those who yearn for friendship, they will follow Subhal, Madhumangal, so many different friends. Those who yearn for parental love, Nanda, Yashoda, and those who want Madhurya love, Radhika, Lalita, etc. In this way, everyone accomplished Raganuga Bhajan. So here we go. In this particular Kali Yuga, Mahaprabhu and the Goswamis like Sri Rupa and Raghunath Das, who have surrendered to his lotus feet, have distributed the worship of Manjari Bhav, which is the topmost class of amorous love. This is the beloved Raganuga Bhajan of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. This is our license. This is what we need. This is the certificate we need. We are in this Hare Krishna movement. The parampara includes Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Rupa Goswami, who we'll see later on who he exactly is in Krishna Leela, Raghunath Das Goswami. So this is our license to dive into the highest possible realm, in the highest possible path. Can't do it artificially, but we can do it. This is the whole point. The Gopis appear in different forms with different natures. They're all Radha's expansions, and they are the cause of Ras. Without the presence of many consorts, there can be no joy in Ras. Therefore, many consorts are manifest to assist in the pastimes. Of them, there are many kinds of consorts in Braja. This is really, really interesting. I hope you guys are not asleep, huh? With different dispositions and different flavors that make Krishna relish the Ras Leela and other pastimes. This is from Sri Sri Prema Bhakti Chandrika by Narottam Das Thakur. And most of what we're going to go through is from this book, in fact. Narottam Das Thakur has given incredible detail. Now, what are these 4? In the form of her expanding phalanx, the countless gopikas that have different moods and flavors, divided into 4 classes. Namely, Radharani has her own party, Lalita, Vishakha. And then there's the enemy's party. Can you see this? In the spiritual world, enemies. Of course, they're all enhancing the rasa that Krishna is tasting. So this, when we're saying enemies, they're not really enemies. They just have different mood, which helps Radha and Krishna enjoy and relish even more. That includes Chandravali, Padma, Saibhya, very interesting personalities. And then the third category, the friendly, Shyamala and others. They're a friendly party. They're neutral, almost. Oh, sorry, no, the neutral party is next, Patra. So the friendly party is lean towards Radharani. So these are the 4 categories of gopis in Braj. In this way, Shri Radhika makes Sri Krishna relish wonderfully sweet, erotic flavors. The most relish is given by his own party and the enemy's party. All the Vraj girls are expansions of Shrimati Bhanu Nandini, and therefore there can be no question of any of them being her equal. Still, Braj's Shringar Ras has given Sri Chandravali and others the feeling of equality with Srimati, with Radha, in order to create the wonderful feelings of Kandita, anger, sulking, beating, mana, jealous, anger, and kalahantarita, separation due to quarrel in her, to make Sri Krishna relish wonderfully sweet mellows. So this is all to enhance the enjoyment of Krishna and Radha as well. In the nourishment of these emotional conditions, the own party contains Lalita and others play a very wonderful role. Although Radha Krishna's love is all-pervading and therefore requires no one's help in nourishment, still this love can never find nourishment without the aid of the Sakhis. The Sakhis are the Gopis, it's just another name for them. The Sakhis expand these pastimes and the Sakhis make them even more relishable. And there's different types of Sakhis as well. And this is from the Ujjwala Nilamala, which I think is written by Rupa Goswami. 5 types of Sakhis. So Radha, in her own group, has 5 different types of Sakhis. These are friends, and they include Kushumika, Vindhya, Dhanistha. And they love Krishna actually more than Radha. So they're friends. But then they're the dear friends, Priya Sakhis, Kurangakshi, Sumadhya, Madana Lasa. They love Radha and Krishna equally. They love them the same. And then there's the Parama Presht Sakhis, the dearmost Sakhis. And these are the 8 very close Sakhis, Lalita, Vishaka, the other Asta Sakhis. And they love Radha and Krishna equally, but they have this mood that they're Radhas. They love them equally. They're almost heroines. They're almost like competitors to Radha, but not quite, because they consider them in Radha's party, themselves in Radha's party. And then there's the Nitya Sakhis, constant companions, Kasturi, Mani Manjari, many others. They love Radha more than Krishna. And then finally, you've got the Prana Sakhis, Shashimukhi, Vashanti, Lasika, and others. And they, again, also love Radha more than Krishna. And it's these 2 who are the Manjaris, Rupa Goswami, Rupa Manjari, and all the other Raga Manjari, Rasa Manjari. They fall in these categories. They love Radha more than Krishna. And we'll see the significance of that, not today, but when we look at the Manjaris. The latter 2 are called Manjaris, Kinkar. Another name for them is Kinkaris. And whilst it is certainly true that the bhav of Radhika's Kinkaris is a truly unique bhav, each kind of devotee feels that his sentiment is the most excellent. And thus, in that mood, he tastes great happiness with Lord Krishna. So it is never a competition over which ras is the best or the highest. So all of these, they enjoy their Leela with Krishna to the fullest extent because that's where they want to be. But if we look at it analytically, and this is what the Goswamis will do, they will determine, and we will see that later, that these 2 categories, the Manjaris, are in the highest category. Okay, so this is one of the verses. And this is now where we actually look at Lalita, the Parama Preshta Sakhis. So we can recite this beautiful verse by Narottam Das Thakur in the Prema Bhakti Chandrika. Sama Sneha Vishama Sneha Na Kodiyo Dyuleha Kohi Matra Adhika Sneha Gana Nirantara Thake Sange Krishna Katha Lila Range Narma Sakhi E Sab Jana. Equal affection for Radha and Krishna, or more affection for Krishna than for Sri Radha. Do not become attached to that. I will just speak about the presence for Sri Radha. They're always in her company, blissfully telling her about Krishna. They are all called Narma Sakhis. Very interesting. So, who are these 8 principal Parama Preshta Preshta Gurus? Sakhis. Lalita, Vishaka, Champaklata, Chitra, Tunga, Induleka, Ranga, Sudevi. Details about the Sakhis are given by Rupa Goswami in the Sri Radha Krishna Gunodesha Deepika, where he mentions so many deep details. So have a look here. We can get a pictorial idea because this is in Mayapur. Very beautiful. There's Radha Madhav in the center, as always. Then, next on Krishna's side is Lalita. And on Radha's side is Vishaka. So today's appearance day is of Lalita. And that's who we'll focus in on in a few minutes. Induleka is next to Vishaka. Ranga Devi is next to Induleka and Sudevi. And the way I remember this is IRS. Vishaka is easy. And then IRS, Induleka, Ranga Devi, Sudevi. On the other side, we have Tunga Vidya. What is it called? Oh, yeah, it's TCC. It's the other way. Tunga Vidya, Chitra, and Champaklata. So let's have a look. In the next, oh yes, let's forget this bit at the moment. It's a little complicated. So in the next few days, today we look at Lalita. Hopefully we'll have enough time. And next tomorrow we'll look at Vishaka and some of the other gopis, and what is their mood, how do they relate to Krishna and Radha, what do they do, what do they wear, how old are they, etc. And then Wednesday is Radhastami, so we'll have a little bit of a closer look at the wonderful qualities of Srimati Radharani, try to please her by doing that. And then going forward, we'll have a look at some of the manjaris as well. So we get an idea of our aim. This is just to get an idea of what is there, just to inspire us a little bit more to become more fixed and more stronger in our bhakti. That's the whole idea. So this is prayers by Raghunath Das Goswami in this Sri Gandharva Samprathana Stakam. Prayers to the Queen of Goddess, says Srimati Radharani. So we can try to sing this one.
Devi Kakubaraga Kata Dayatya Vacha Yase Patya Bhuvi Dandava Uttarapatari Asya Prasadam Adbhutasya Janasya Kritva Gandharvike Tavegana Gananam Videhi. O Goddess, O Ocean of Mercy, please accept me. When will Lalita Devi accept me among her own group of associates? When will she accept me as the servant of the servant of the servant of her servants? When will she give me an insignificant post in her group?
So this is a prayer to Lalita. And today is the day where we pray to her and get her blessings. Very important day. And so that's why we want to, or rather, Karuna Bandar will sing this very beautiful bhajan by Rupa Goswami called Shri Shri Lalita Ashtakam. Thank you. So, Karuna, are you there?
Yes, Prabhu.
Oh, great. You haven't fallen asleep, huh?
No.
Okay, so would you like to recite? And you can show yourself. It'll be good.
Yes, okay. Radha Mukunda Sambhava Karmavindu Nirmanchanopakarane Krita Deha Raksha O Tunga Surida Vishesha Vasat Pragarvam Devim Gunai Sulalitam Lalitam Namami Devim Gunai Sulalitam Lalitam Namami Devim Gunai Sulalitam Lalitam Namami ललकासुधा किरणमण्डलकान्तिदन्दी वक्त्रश्रियां चकितचारुचमूरुनेत्रम् राधा प्रसादन विधानकरा प्रसीदा देवीं गुणैः सुरलितां नमामि देवीं गुणैः सुरलितां नमामि देवीं गुणैः सुरलितां नमामि लस्योलसद्भुजगशत्रुपथकचित्रा तातां सुखाभरणकञ्चुलिकञ्चिकाङ्गी गौरोचनारुचिविकर्णगौरिमानम् देवीं गुणैः सुललितं ललितं नमामि देवीं गुणैः सुललितं ललितं नमामि देवीं गुणैः सुललितं ललितं नमामि दुर्देवचेन्द्रतनये तनुषोस्तुवाम्या मा दक्षिणाभुवकलङ्किनी राघवाय राधे गिरं चिनुहितामिति शिक्षयन्ति देवीं गुणैः सुललितां ललितां नमामि देवीं गुणैः सुललितां ललितां नमामि देवीं गुणैः सुललितां ललितां नमामि राधामभिव्रजपते कृतम् आत्मजेन कूतं मनागपि विलोक्य विलोकिताक्षी वाघाङ्गिरिन्दमचिरेण विराजयन्तीं देवीं गुणैः सुललितं ललितं नमामि देवीं गुणैः सुललितं ललितं नमामि देवीं गुणैः सुललितं ललितं नमामि वात्सल्यवृन्दवसतिं पशुपालनज्ञा सख्यानुशिक्षणकलाशु गुरुं सखीनां राधाबलामयितजीवितनिर्विशेषां देवीं गुणैः सुललितं ललितं नमामि देवीं गुणैः सुललितं ललितं नमामि देवीं गुणैः सुललितं ललितं नमामि यां कामपि व्रजकुले वृषभानुजाया प्रेक्ष्य सप्रक्षापदिं निरुध्यमानम् सद्यस्तदिष्टगतनेन कृतार्थयान्तीं देवीं गुणैः सुललितां ललितां नमामि देवीं गुणैः सुललितं ललितं नमामि देवीं गुणैः सुललितं ललितं नमामि राधा व्रजेन्द्रसुतसङ्गमरङ्गचर्यां वर्यं विनिश्चितगतिम् अखिलोत्सवेद्या तां गोकुलप्रियसखीं कुरङ्गमुख्यं देवीं गुणैः सुललितं ललितं नमामि देवीं गुणैः सुललितं ललितं नमामि Devim Gunaisu Lalitam Lalitam Namami. Nandana Muni Lalita Guna Lalita Tani Paryaniya Agati Nirmaladishtirashto Pritya Vikarshi Janam Nijavriyamathe Tamakirtida Patikulo Jalakalpavalli Devim Gunaisu Lalitam Lalitam Namami 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 Jaya Lalita Devi 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 Jaya Lalita Devi
Lalita Devi ki jai.
Jai
Bandar Mataji ki jai.
Maharaj ki jai.
Never in my life would I have ever imagined that we would be singing that bhajan. So I really appreciate your effort to learn. You learned in a day. Such a wonderful tune that you learned as well. So thank you very, very much for sharing that. Superb.
Thank you, Prabhu, for engaging me, engaging us.
So actually, would you like to, maybe Chitra Manjari or Chitra, your daughter, can read the English?
Yes. I offer my obeisances to Lalita Devi, who has many wonderful qualities. She worships the perspiration of Shri Shri Radha Mukunda's lotus feet and acts boldly out of intense feelings of friendship for them. I offer my obeisances to Lalita Devi, who has many wonderful qualities. Her face defeats the beauty of the ambrosial corona of the full moon. Her eyes are like those of an alarmed deer, and she is expert in the art of decorating Sri Radhika. I offer my obeisances to Lalita Devi, who has many wonderful qualities. She wears a wonderful silk dress colored like a peacock with outstretched feathers, as well as a nice blouse, and her complexion defeats the golden splendor of Gorochana. I offer my obeisances to Lalita Devi, who has many wonderful qualities. She teaches Sri Radhika the art of a left-wing heroine, saying, Radhe, firmly reject this shrewd son of the king of Vraj, O immoral girl. Listen, don't be weak. I'm saying it for your own good. Don't submit to him. I offer my obeisances to Lalita Devi, who has many wonderful qualities. Her eyes become red with anger if she sees the son of the king of Vraj cheating Sri Radhika even slightly. Then she will promptly embarrass him with her clever words. I offer my obeisances to Lalita Devi, who has many wonderful qualities. She is the abode of affection for the queen of cowherders, Yashoda. She is the teacher of the art of friendship for all the Sakhis, and her love for Sri Radhika and Krishna is equal. I offer my obeisances to Lalita Devi, who has many wonderful qualities. She requests every girl in Vraj to join the party of Vishwabhanu's daughter, who fulfills all desires of that girl or of Sri Radhika. I offer my obeisances to Lalita Devi, who has many wonderful qualities. She always enjoys the festival of Radha and Rajendra Suta's meeting, and she is the chief of all Radha's dear girlfriends in Gokul. Anyone who recites these prayers praising Lalita's wonderful qualities with a pure vision will be lovingly counted amongst her own friends or maidservants by Sri Radhika, the brilliant desire vine of the family of the Lord of Kirtida, King Vishwabhanu.
Thank you very much, Chitra. Lalita Sakhi ki jai.
Yes.
So this is where we wanted to start talking. Now, it's already gone past 5 in the UK. It'll take another good half an hour to go through maybe not half an hour, maybe less, the qualities of Lalita. We can do it today or we could do it tomorrow. Do devotees have a preference?
Today.
Okay. Okay, that's from Mauritius, and they're 3 hours ahead of us, so let's do it today. Okay. And what about Rianch? Swati, are you okay?
Okay, Prabhu.
Okay, what's the time there?
It's 9:40, Prabhu.
Oh, okay, not too bad. Okay then. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So we'll just carry on. So this is Lalita Devi in Mayapur, which we saw a little bit earlier. Very beautiful, right next to Madhav. Lalita is regarded as the greatest of all the 8 Sakhis. Actually, her and Vishaka together. She's 27 days older than Sri Radharani and Radharani's constant companion. We were trying to work this out because Radharani's appearance day is in 2 days. So I'm not sure about this 27. I think maybe Adhik Mas comes in there somewhere, maybe. Anyway, she's known also as Anuradha, and eternally, she's 14 years, 8 months, and 27 days old. That's her eternal age in the spiritual world. So when they come to Vrindavan on this planet or in Earth or in material world, they'll grow into this age and then stay that way. Even they may live in this world for 125 years, but they won't look older than 14 years and 8 months. She's decorated with Vama Prakara, harsh, stood up nature. She's aggressive. She'll give Krishna a beating. Not just with her mouth, with her words, but also with her fists. Her bodily complexion is that of bright yellow, Gorochan. And Gorochan is, I think, made with cow urine. So that's the color it looks like. Very beautiful color. Her dress is made of peacock feathers. Her mother's name is Sharadi. Father's name is Vishoka. Her husband is a cowherd named Bhairav, a friend of Govardhan Mala, who is a husband of Chandravali. What a close connection. She's the leader of all of Radharani's girlfriends. She's actually regarded to be the guru of the Sakhis. And she understands the pastimes. She controls the pastimes. She's expert in causing loving quarrels and in making the truce as well. Like we were reading in this bhajan, how she would tell Radharani, what are you doing? You don't give in to that crazy boy. She'll cause quarrels, she'll speak proud words, she'll answer back, she'll rational arguments, she'll angrily lowers her head, concealed by the luster of the Sakhis. When the divine pair get into loving quarrel, she gives the Sakhis presence of mind. She gives them strength and enthusiastically coordinates the quarrel. Because mostly they don't like to see Radha Krishna quarrel. They become upset. But she's got this way of dividing them, but then uniting them. And that uniting becomes much more pleasurable when there's dividing beforehand. Then when the time comes from Radha and Madhav's reconciliation or meeting, she may go there. But she will stay there as if indifferent. Really incredible personality. She's expert in making floral ornaments, umbrellas, beds, grove cottage constructions, and she's learned in conjuring tricks and composing riddles. Her service is making betel leaves with camphor. Her kunj is named Lalita Nandan Kunj. In her group, there are many Sakhis, Ratnakera, Ratikala. That's why Guru Maharaj gets the name for Ratikala. Wow. Shubhadra, Chandra, Rekha, Sumukhi, Dantista, Kalahamsari, Kalapili. Decorates women with flowers. That's the divine couple. Decorates their cottage when they rest at night. In the Ujjwala Nilamala, Rupa Goswami writes, Lalita Devi is the deity of love of Radha and Madhav. Now, Rupa Goswami is Rupa Manjari, and Rupa Manjari is Lalita Sakhi's main maidservant. So you can see Rupa Manjari is such an important personality in the spiritual kingdom. So Lalita Sakhi's right-hand girl is Rupa Manjari. So very, very amazing. She's very powerful, knows how to please Radha and Krishna through different activities. She has the storehouse of Leela Shakti with her. She's the maintainer of Leela Shakti. Yoga Maya, Purnamasi, follows her instructions. So Yoga Maya is very important. Purnamasi is like almost the controller in Vrindavan. She makes all many arrangements for Radha and Krishna to meet. So Lalita is the guru of Purnamasi. Sometimes they are separated by circumstances. That's the divine couple. Cannot meet with each other. When they meet in one place, then there are many different family members, such as parents, grandparents, in-laws. And they cannot meet as their heart's desire. They have to be shy and separate from each other. After Lalita Devi accepts anything, Radha and Krishna will accept it. She'll do it first, then they'll accept it. She has many messengers. They go throughout Vraj, making sure everything is going on properly. In Vraj Bundle, for the pleasure of Radha Madhav, Lalita Devi is always engaged in different activities. There is a Nayak and Nayika, a lover and a beloved. Sometimes they are separated by circumstances and cannot meet with each other. When they meet in one place, oh yeah, we've just talked about that. They have to be shy. They act like children and act as if they don't have any relationship with each other. However, Lalita arranges for Radha Madhav to meet together privately. This is her forte. Lalita teaches Radhika, however, when Krishna comes, don't even look at him. Show that you don't have any relationship with him, that you don't like him, you don't even know him. Be smart, be strong. Don't let anyone know that you have any relation with him. You should hide your love for him. Don't show it to anyone. Don't open your heart. If you open your heart, your love will fly out. Keep it sacred. Keep it safe. You should only discuss your love with those who are very, very near and dear friends. And also those friends who know your heart will help arrange a meeting between you and your beloved. You can see she's got an incredible role to make Radha and Krishna so happy. Lalita teaches Radhika to be clever in her activities. There are many Sakhis, but Radhika's dearmost friend is Lalita. She is called Pakara, very strong. She's like a controller. She can instruct Radhika directly. Now she will say, sit here, don't go out. Sometimes Radhika will have difficulty tolerating this. As she anxiously waits to see Krishna, she will think, oh, everyone is going to see Krishna, but I can't go. Lalita Devi said, no, don't go, sit here. Radharani becomes restless and shivers, but she will not disobey Lalita's instructions. She will pace back and forth in the kunj and sit down and get up and pace again, but she will not leave the kunj. Then Krishna is going out to the forest. Baladevi is at the front with the calves and the sakhas. And Krishna goes past, and Krishna says, oh, I lost a calf. He tells his sakhas to go ahead with the calves, and he comes back. He jumps into the kunj and meets and speaks with Radharani. At that time, Lalita is not there, no Vishaka or anyone. Everyone hides. Only Radha and Krishna alone. Krishna meets with her quickly and then runs back to the sakhas and the calves. Lalita Devi arranges this program and inspires Krishna. Then Radharani is very happy. A little later, Lalita Devi comes and finds Radharani very pleased. If Radharani were to go in front of everyone to see Krishna, then they would not be able to meet. But Krishna secretly comes and Lalita arranges this meeting. Therefore, she is very dear to Radha and Krishna. Once Radharani came to Giriraj Govardhan to sing and play on a veena. Okay. Lalita Devi arranges for these meetings in Govardhan in the Kunj. She says, be silent. Don't teach or tell Krishna anything. You should hide here. Practice your singing. Don't send news that we are here. Otherwise, Shyam will come. So Shyam would come there to learn sometimes from Radhika. And Lalita would say, don't teach him. But Krishna smells their fragrance, especially Radha's, and he thinks, a wonderful flower has blossomed in the garden of Govardhan. I will go there and meet with the gardener, that's Radha. I will collect some flowers and I cool my body. Flowers have this power. When you wear flowers and keep them near you, you can feel cool and peaceful. Your mind and everything becomes clean. It's very true, because today, all day I've been smelling one flower. We don't get these very often here. What are they called? Marigolds. And I found one, and it smells so good. Nowadays, everyone is living in stone buildings, and their hearts become like stone. But outside Giriraj, Govardhan is like stone. But all over his body, there are so many plants, trees, creepers, flowers growing. So externally, he's strong, like Brahma, but really, he's soft and sweet. So this is a pastime where Krishna goes to Govardhan. He smells Radharani and he goes and enjoys. So what are her special talents? She's the leader, she's the guru of the Sakhis. She's very magnanimous, like her father. All of these gopis take after the father, the instigator of many pastimes. Most pastimes always displays contrariness to Krishna's suggestions. She's always opposing Krishna, frequently becomes angry and speaks outrageously insolent retorts to increase the intensity of the loving affairs between Radha and Krishna. Brilliant in composing and understanding riddles. Unparalleled in fashioning things with flowers, including awnings, dancing arenas, umbrellas, couches, bows. Expert in performing magic tricks and juggling. So, as we discussed, Rupa Manjari, Rupa Goswami, is the assistant and follower of Lalita Devi. Thus, all who consider themselves as Rupanuga Bhaktas, which is what we do consider ourselves, followers of Rupa Goswami, are ultimately the servants of Lalita Devi. And thus, through the medium of the parampara, should always be longing to engage in the service of her lotus feet. Lalita Sakhi incarnates as Swarup Damodar in the pastime of Lord Gauranga Mahaprabhu and acted as his personal secretary. In fact, no one could approach or present anything to Mahaprabhu without his sanction. So this same Lalita came as Swarup Damodar. And Swarup Damodar, if anybody wanted to present anything to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he would first audit it. He would go through it. And if he liked it, he would present it to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sometimes there would be writings which would be rasa bhas. They wouldn't actually go according to the mellows that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was feeling. They would be actually opposing each other. They're the rasas. So in that situation, Swarup Damodar would not allow, or Lalita Sakhi would not allow that to go to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So even in the Lila, in Gaur Lila, Swarup Damodar, Lalita played such a big role. She was there all the time. All the time she was there with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, looking after him. She understood this is Radha and Krishna. So that's it about Lalita. If anybody has any comments, any pastimes, Madhusudan Prabhu, any leelas that you'd like to share, please do so.
Hare Krishna, Hare Bol.
Hare
Can you
Krishna.
hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I'm at my son's house, but I'm on the phone. Hare Bol, Hare Krishna to everyone. Yeah, it's quite interesting pastimes and very confidential as well. To try to understand the intricate relationships between the Gopis and Radharani and Krishna and all that. So, and then as you explained, the Radharani and the Hadini Shakti of Krishna, and for us to understand, it can become quite tricky because we have the same propensities to love, and because Krishna has got this Satchit Ananda. Well, if only Krishna had the Sat element, then that would just be boring. That would just be like eternity, and there, Sat, and then the Chit. But the Anand aspect is where Krishna even wants to relish his own Anand. And that's why, there's no difference between Krishna and Radha. And if it says Radha, Radha is Krishna, Krishna is Radha. And it gets quite complicated, but Krishna expands through, then Radharani expands to the Gopis and the Manjaris, and everything is done to increase the Anand aspect of Krishna. So we have that to a certain extent because as part and parcel of Krishna, we have Satchit Anand in our spiritual forms, but our Anand and everything is covered up by our desires, which are to be independent of Krishna. So we lose that. We already have that within us, but we have lost that because we directed our desires towards material and independent, and so it gets covered up by Yoga Maya and other things. But this is quite interesting, to go through. But as we go through the next few days, I'm sure, with ultimately the Radhasmi day, we will understand a little bit more and understand why there are these Sakhis in Mayapur, why Radha Madhav there, and then all the different Sakhis, they have their own different services. Some are talented in some other ways, but starting with Lalita Sakhi today, it's been quite, you've done good research there and good presentation here, to understand. But we are fortunate that, we are in this Rupa Goswami's talented, so we can understand that. But to try to understand without that aspect, like you explained, we can't falsely pretend to be, I'm a lover of Krishna and all that. That Sahajiya mood, it can quite easily get perverted like that. So, it'll be interesting the next few days as well as you go through this. I'm thank you very much for doing this.
Yeah, no.
I've
Thank
enjoyed
you
it.
for saying that, because it's so important that it's, we don't artificially think we are somewhere where we are nowhere near. Absolutely right. But we need to know that this is what we want to aspire for, and it's there.
Yeah.
Let's practice our bhakti even more stronger, so that we can actually make the effort. And then ultimately, it's up to Radha Madhav and Lalita Sakhi what happens to us,
Yeah, because there is that Satchit Anand, the part and parcel aspect, we do have that propensity. If we just focus on our expanding our Sat bit, then we wouldn't relish the Anand bit, So everything is got to unfold itself. But like I say, the Anand bit is through Radharani's mercy that it can unfold in us, and can get unraveled, if you know what I mean. But we are at, that's why we have loving propensity. We start to love. We like to love this, whether it's loving a dog, loving a cat, everybody wants to love, but it's misdirected at times, and then it unless it gets directed towards Krishna, then it it's fulfilled properly. Yeah. Okay, Haribol.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Haribol.
Anybody?
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Pitambar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. I remember when I was about 18 years old or 19, I went to Guru Maharaj and I said, Guru Maharaj, please tell me the story of the Gopis and Krishna and those pastimes, right? Because Srila Prabhupada wrote that if you hear it from a spiritual master, your lust will be, erased, be gone. And I remember Guru Maharaj looked at me and said, and smiled and said, Beta, ye bahut dur ki baat hai. That this is so far away. This is so far away that even discussing it, it just shows, one thing that I'm appreciating now is how far Guru Maharaj must have attained spirituality, his position, because for him to understand and say that to me, and it was just so deep, I just thought I'd share that.
No, absolutely. One brother asked me at South London, we were sort of trying to get him to speak about Radharani. He didn't even mention the word Radha. So, absolutely. I mean, these are confidential pastimes. My feeling was that, look, we've been through the philosophy, we've been through the Gita, and we need to understand that there is a world out there which is incredible. It's just full of completeness. This we're not even scratching the surface with what we've talked about today. It's so amazing. So if we don't even know, then I think there's something lacking. If we know, hopefully this will make us even stronger in our sadhana, in our bhakti, try to become more fixed in our rounds, because we know there's a destination which is far beyond this horrible place, this material world, for which we aspire for. And, it just makes us a little bit more serious. And anything that makes us a little bit more serious has to be a good thing. Because this world is full of, we can easily get distracted. This is the point. And the more serious we are, the less these distractions will take our mind away. So this is the purpose of sharing all this. I also want to, from a very selfish point of view, always wanted to understand these mellows as much as I possibly can, which isn't very deep, and if we can share it at the same time, it's always nice to share it with the devotees. And I think the group we have here is a group who is, I think, very sincere. And we've been together on the Bhagavad Gita journey, more or less everybody here. And I feel okay, we're not really qualified to talk about these matters, but let's get a little glimpse of what is there so we can become even more greedy to get this spiritual taste. I hope that was okay. Definitely, these are very confidential subject matters. I wouldn't want to transgress any spiritual etiquette by sharing these. But this is all on the internet anyway. It's all public knowledge anyway. I've just put it together and cut and pasted different things into different in a presentation. I've not shared anything here which is not already on the internet. So just in case anybody's thinking I'm sharing things which I shouldn't be sharing, it's already there. It's already public knowledge. So anybody else? Any questions? Any comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Swati.
Who is this yoga nursery?
Sorry?
Yoga nursery, something we call presentation. She's the head of Gopis to decorate something.
You're not actually very clear. Yes, breaking up too much. Actually, why didn't you write the question down and
On chat
or on WhatsApp, and we'll catch it there.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so we can. Anybody else? I know it was a little intense, especially at the beginning, but it's important to understand the sort of direction we were coming at.
I must say the bhajan was very nice by Karunabanda.
Phenomenal. Absolutely
Phenomenal. First time I've heard it actually as well, sung like that. So it's a pleasure to hear, and he's praying to gopis and all that can bring out the loving element, the anand bit within us, because otherwise we're not experiencing anand. We think we are in this material world, we're gonna enjoy or find anand, or such chit anand. That's our true spiritual nature, but we don't actually taste that, or we don't actually experience that, because we are so much engrossed in our body that we experience the bodily pains more than anything else. But that is there already within us, but it's by the proper guidance. You've done a good presentation here. So, but actually, ultimately, even on Radhashmi Day, we will understand, and you may be able to present that. Why Sukadev Goswami's position is so amazing as well. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, we've got quite a presentation for Radhashmi.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Look
thank you
forward
very
to
much.
that.
Okay,
Okay,
so Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So, do you think we have time to do Nishinga Kavach? Would devotees would like to do?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Riyansh will do, Prabhu.
Sorry?
Riyansh will do.
Oh, Riyansh will do, did you say?
Yeah,
Nishinga Kavach?
Prabhu.
Oh, yes. He can sing the Nishinga Arti, yes, definitely. But we do the Nishinga Kavach beforehand. What do you think, Karuna? Shall we do, or shall we do it tomorrow?
It's okay with me. I'm still here.
Okay. Let's do it because it's important. So actually, I wanted to do it especially for a devotee called Saroj. She's just going through chemotherapy at the moment, and let's pray for her good health. Huh? Okay, take it away, Mataji.
Shri Lakshmi Nrsimha Deva ki jai, Prahlad Maharaj ki jai, Shapopadi ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Nrsimha Kavacham Bhakshe, Prahladena Ditam Pura, Sarvarakshakaram Punyam, Sarvapadravanashanam, Sarvasampatkaram Chaiva, Swarga Moksha Pradayakam, Yadva Nrsimham Devesham Hina Simhasanastitam, Vivritashyam Trinayanam Sharadindushamapabham, Lakshmalingita Vamangam Vibhuti Virupashitam,
चतुर्भुजं कोमलाङ्गं स्वर्णकुन्दरशोभितं श्रिया सुशोभितोरस्कं रत्नकेयूरमुद्रितं तप्तकाञ्चन शङ्काशं पीतनिर्मलवाससं इन्द्रादिसुरमौलिष्ठा स्फुरन्माणिक्यदीप्तिभिः विराजितपदद्वन्द्वं शङ्खचक्रादिहेतिभिः गरुत्मता च विनयात् स्तूयमानं मुदान्वितं स्वरितकमलसंवासं कृत्वा तु कवचं पतेत् नरसिंहो मे शिरः पातु लोकरक्षार्थसम्भव सर्वगोपीस्तम्भवास फालं मे रक्षतु ध्वनिं नरसिंहो मे दृशौ पातु सोमसूर्णानिलोचना स्मृतं मे पातु नरहरि मुनिवर्यस्तुतिप्रिय नासं मे सिंहनाशस्तु मुखं लक्ष्मीमुखप्रिय सर्वविद्यादिपापातु नरसिंहो रसनां मम वक्त्रं पाद्विन्दुवदनं सदा प्रह्लादवन्दित नरसिंह पातु मे कण्ठं स्कन्धो भूभरनान्तकृत् दिव्यास्त्रशोभितभुज नरसिंह पातु मे भुजौ करौ मे देवा वरदो नरसिंह पातु सर्वतः हृदयं योगिसाध्याश्च निवासं पातु मे हरि मध्यं पातु हिरण्यक्ष्वक्षा कुक्षिविदारण नाभिं मे पातु नरहरि स्वनाभि ब्रह्म संस्तुत ब्रह्मानुकूतया कथ्यां यास्यस्यो पातु मे कथिं गुह्यं मे पातु गुह्यानां मन्त्राणां गुह्यरूपधृक् पुरुमनोभव पातु जानुनि नररूपधृक् जाङ्गे पातु धराभार हर्ता योऽसौ नृकेशरी सूरराजप्रद पातु पादौ मे नरईश्वर सहर्षशीर्ष पुरुष पातु मे सर्वसस्तनु महोग्रह पूर्वतः पातु महावीराग्रजोन्नित महाविष्णु दक्षिणे तु महाज्वालस्तु नैऋतौ पश्चिमे पातु सर्वेषु दिशि मे सर्वतोमुख नरसिंह पातु वायव्यां सौम्यां भीषणविग्रह ईशान्यां पातु भद्रो मे सर्वमङ्गलदायक संसारभयतः पातु मृत्योर्मृत्युनिकेशरी इदं नरसिंहं कवचं प्रह्लादमुखमण्डितं भक्तिमान्यपति नित्यं सर्वपापैः प्रमुच्यते पुत्रवान् धनवान् लोके दीर्घायुरुपजायते यं यं कामयति कामं तं तं प्राप्नोति असंशयं सर्वत्र जयमाप्नोति सर्वत्र विजयी भवेत् भूयन्तरिक्षदिव्यानां ग्रहाणां विनिवारणम् वृश्चिकरोगसम्भूत विशापाहरणं परं ब्रह्मरक्षास्य याक्षाणां दुरोत्सारणकारणं भुजे वा तालपत्रे वा कवचं लिखितं शुभं कर्मूले धृतां येन सिद्ध्येयुः सिद्ध्यय देवासुर्मनुष्येषु स्वमेव जयं लभेत् एकसन्ध्यं त्रिसन्ध्यं वा यपतिन्यतो नर सर्वमाङ्गलमङ्गल्यं भुक्तिं मुक्तिं च विन्दति द्वात्रिंशत्सहस्राणि पाठेषु दात्मभिर्निभि कवचस्यास्य मन्त्रस्य मन्त्रसिद्धिः प्रजायते अनेन मन्त्रराजेन कृत्वा भस्माभिर्मन्त्रणं तिलकं बिभ्रयाद्यस्तु तस्य ग्रहः